The Shandilya Upanishad, presented by Swayam Prakash Sharma, Part 3. In the third part, Atharvan continues telling Shandilya about pranayam and meditation. The Upanishad. Atharvan tells Shandilya, a person should practice the retention of breath slowly till he reaches a count of 80 in a day. He should do so at sunrise, at midday, at sunset, and at midnight. In the early stages of retention of breath, perspiration is produced. In the middle stages, there are tremors in the body, and in the last stage, the body levitates in the air. These are the results that one gets out of retention and repression of breath while sitting in the Padmasana. When, because of his effort, a person perspires, then he should rub the body well. By doing so, the body becomes bright and light. In the early stages of his practice, a person should take food with milk and ghee, which are excellent for him. One who sticks to this rule, he becomes firm in this practice, and then he gets no burning sensation in the body. Just as lions, elephants, and tigers, these wild animals are tamed gradually. In exactly the same way, the breath can also be tamed and brought under control gradually when rightly managed. Otherwise, it could result in killing the practitioner. Therefore, a person must be very, very careful doing this activity. A person should, as far as is consistent with his health and with his safety, breathe in properly, he should breathe out properly, and he should properly retain the breath in the body. This is the only way by which he can attain success. Retaining the breath in the body in this way, in an approved manner, and by the purification of the nadis, these result in the heating of the gastric fire. These result in his clearly hearing the spiritual sound, the nad, and these result in good health. When, through the regular practice of pranayam, the nervous centers of the body have been purified, then the air forces its way up easily through the mouth of the sushumna, which is in the middle. By the contraction of the muscles of the neck and by the contraction of the one below, namely by the apan, the pran breath goes into the sushumna, which is in the middle from the west side nadi. Drawing up the apan and forcing down the pran from the throat, the yogi becomes free from old age and he becomes like a youth of 16. A person should sit in a comfortable posture and then breathe in through the right nostril. He should retain the breath inside the body from the top of the hair right up to the toenails. He should then breathe out through the same nostril with which he had breathed in. By this, the brain becomes purified and the diseases in the air nadis are destroyed. Then the person should draw in air noisily through the nose so as to fill the space from the heart to the neck. He should then retain the breath for as long as he can and again breathe out through the nose. Through this, hunger, thirst, idleness, and sleep do not arise. A person becomes free from them. Then a person should breathe in air, keeping his mouth wide open. He should retain the air so taken in for as long as he can. Then he should breathe out through the nose. By this, the diseases of the spleen, such as gulma and pliha, and bile, fever, and hunger are destroyed. Now we shall discuss Kumbhak, which is restraint of breath. Kumbhak is of two kinds. One, Sahit, the other, Keval. The Kumbhak that is connected with the breathing in and breathing out, that Kumbhak is called Sahit. The Kumbhak that is devoid of these, that Kumbhak is called Keval or alone. Till the time a person becomes perfect in the Keval Kumbhak, he should only practice Sahit. To the person who has mastered Keval Kumbhak, there is nothing that is unattainable for him in all the three worlds. By the Keval restraint of breath, the knowledge of Kundalini arises. Then a person becomes lean in body. He becomes serene in face and clear eyed. He hears the spiritual sounds clearly and distinctly. He becomes free from all diseases and he conquers his bindu. He conquers his semen and his gastric fire increases. When a person centers his mind on an inward object while his eyes are looking outwards, without the shutting and opening of his eyelids, then this is called Vaishnavi Mudra. This Vaishnavi Mudra is kept hidden in all the tantric works. With his mind and breath absorbed in an internal object, though he does not really see the objects outside and under him, the yogi still appears to see them with the eyes in which the pupils are motionless. This is called Khechari Mudra. It has as its sphere of extension one object only, and it is very beneficial. It is then that the real seat of Vishnu, which is both void and non-void, it is then that seat of Vishnu dawns on the yogi. It is only then that a person sees the real seat of Vishnu, which is both void and non-void. The yogi, with the eyes half closed and with a firm mind, fixes his eye on the tip of his nose and becomes absorbed in the sun and the moon. And after remaining motionless in this way, he becomes conscious of the thing which is resplendent, which is the supreme truth, and which is beyond. O Shandilya, know this to be Tat, or that which is Brahm itself. Merging the sound in the light and elevating the brows a little, this is a part of the former practice. This brings about the state of Unmani, which causes destruction of the mind. Therefore, a person should practice the Khechari Mudra. Then he attains to the state of Unmani and falls into Yog sleep, which is a state of trance. To the person who obtains this Yog sleep, time does not exist. Place the mind in the middle of the Shakti and place the Shakti in the middle of the mind, O Shandilya, and be happy. Place the Atma in the middle of Akash and place the Akash in the middle of the Atma. And having reduced everything to Akash, do not think of anything else. You should then not entertain any thoughts whatsoever, either external or internal. Abandoning all thoughts, become abstract thought itself. As camphor is absorbed in fire and as salt is absorbed in water, in the same way, the mind also becomes absorbed in the tattva. The mind also becomes absorbed in the truth. What is called manas or mind is nothing but knowledge of everything that is known and a clear apprehension of that. When the knowledge and the object known are both lost, know this, that this is the only path. It is by the giving up of all cognition of objects that the mind is absorbed. And when the mind is absorbed, then only kaivalya or isolation alone remains. In the destruction of the chit, there are two ways. For the destruction of the chit, there are two ways. One, that of yoga, and the other, that of gyan, O Prince of Sages. Yoga is the forcible repression of the modifications of the mind, and gyan is the thorough inquiry into the very same modifications of the mind. When the modifications in the mind are repressed, it is then that the mind, in fact, attains peace. Just as the actions of people cease with the stopping of the fluctuations of the sun, just as people stop working when the sun sets, so also when the fluctuations of the mind cease, then this cycle of births and death also comes to an end. This cycle also stops. Then the fluctuations of pran are prevented. When a person has no longing for this mundane existence, or when he has gratified his desires and longings in such mundane existence, through the study of religious books, through the company of good men and women, through indifference to the enjoyments, through the practice of yoga, or through long contemplation with focus on a desired higher object, or through the firm principle of only one truth. By the repression of the breath through in-breathing, etc., and by its constant and regular practice, which does not cause fatigue, and by meditating in a secluded place, the fluctuations of the mind are arrested. Through the right realization of the true nature of the sound, which is at the extreme end of the pronunciation of the syllable Om, that is, which is at the end of the ardhamatra of Om, and when the dreamless sleeping state of Sushupti is rightly cognized, is rightly known through consciousness, then the fluctuations of the mind are repressed. When the passage at the root of the palate, which is like a bell, namely like uvula, is closed by the tongue with effort, and when the breath goes up through the upper hole, then the fluctuations of pran are stopped. When the consciousness or samvit is merged in pran, and when through the practice pran goes through the upper hole into the Devadasant, the 12th center above the palate, then the fluctuations of the pran are stopped. When the eye of consciousness, which is the spiritual eye, the third eye, when this spiritual eye becomes calm and clear, so as to be able to see clearly and distinctly in the transparent space, in the transparent akash, at a distance of 12 digits from the tip of his nose, then the fluctuations of pran are stopped. When the thoughts that arise in the mind are bound up in the calm contemplation of the world of Tarak between one's eyebrows, and these are destroyed in this way, then the fluctuations of pran cease. When the knowledge, which is of the form of the knowable, which is beneficent, and which is untouched by any modifications whatsoever, when such knowledge arises in a person and is known as Om only and no other, then the fluctuations of pran cease. By the contemplation of the Akash, which is in the heart for a long time, and by the contemplation of the mind free from the vasanas, the fluctuations of pran cease. By these methods and by various other methods suggested by one's own thought, and by means of the contact of the many spiritual guides, the fluctuations of pran cease. This concludes the third part of the Shandilya Upanishad. Om Shanti 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 Om.